go to Villa Park then. Who would want to? Oh, we will. It's Aston Villa versus Leicester. A glut of goals. Well, maybe not. Villa have only scored at home 4 times this season, and Leicester have only bulged the back of the opposition net 3 times away from home. So, Hobbs, I'm thinking there's going to be no goals.
There's going to be no goals, Paul. I think you're absolutely spot on. I would not bother watching this game. I'd probably go out and do some shopping or something, Christmas shopping. Villa are marginal favourites, 13-10. They're on a nice 4-game unbeaten run now. Benteke's back, but their home form's atrocious. On the other hand, Leicester are the worst team in the division. So I think the match betting's about right. Villa marginal favourites, but I certainly wouldn't get involved. Both teams not to score is the bet for me, Paul. 21-20. Can't believe it's odds against. The worst and the third worst attacks in the division going head to head. Villa have only scored 8 goals in 14 Premier League games, which is unbelievable. Leicester have only scored 3 in 7. They failed to score in 5 of their 7 road games this season. I just don't see how both teams not to score can't be back to 21-20.
Okay, there you go. As far as all I can say to Tom is, hail Benteke.
Thank God he's back. Certainly could do with someone else scoring a few goals as well, though, because as Simon quite rightly pointed out, we don't score too many goals.
No,
certainly not at home. But the match odds probably are just about right. Villa deserve to be favoured because they're 8 places and a few points ahead of Leicester, but. Their home form over the past few seasons just isn't good enough to really warrant backing them at 13-10. Interestingly, just the first time since the end of August that Villa have been favourites to win a football match, which is absolutely crazy. But you can probably understand why some of the defeats they had and some of the performances they put in. For some reason, I think that there could be a few goals in this game, but I've got absolutely no stats or anything to back that up, so I'm just going to no bet in this match, and I'll be watching it obviously, but I can understand why a few people might turn their tellies off for 90 minutes.
Brilliant. Thomas spilled his ballot paper on purpose there, and we'll be sitting down with his steak and kidney pie in front of the TV to watch that game. Let's go to Monday evening, guys, if we can. St Mary's is the place they're going to play. Southampton versus Man U. Now, Tom, I'm worried about Southampton now. Yeah, they had an easy run of fixtures and they've lost the last 2. And yes, they played well against Arsenal, but now the momentum has left them.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about them. I think they're doing okay. I think they're going to be absolutely fine.
Compared to your own teams, guys, I think they're not doing too badly, are
I'm
they?
not going to worry about teams sitting third in the league at the moment. But
they're not doing better than Stevenage, but you know.
Well, yeah, okay, but I can understand why there's a few concerns, maybe from the Southampton fans. They've won the matches they were expected to win against the teams, but the bottom half of the table. Interestingly, they've played 4 of the teams that finished above them last season. They've lost all of those games, only scored once, and that was on the opening day of the season. I think one of their biggest problems is there isn't much beyond the starting 11. They've had a few injuries in the past few weeks, and their bench doesn't look particularly strong, certainly up front. And with Pello and Long not scoring too many goals, having to call on Mayuka to come off the bench isn't a fantastic choice. But that's why actually this one looks under 2.5 goals looks quite a nice price at 19-20. Bookmakers can't seem to decide who they think should be favourites. Some have got Southampton, some have got Man United. I think you can make a case for both those sides being favourites to win the match, but. Like I said, Pello and Long have stopped scoring goals. Pello no goal in 5, Long 3 in 17 all season, which is slightly less surprising. United looking a little bit more solid at the back as well, just 4 conceded in 6 matches compared to a pretty poor defensive.
Is that all down to Young playing fullback?
No, it isn't. No, I think maybe the quality of opposition has been playing a little bit worse, and they just sorted themselves out a little bit. Southampton still look pretty solid at the back. They've only conceded 1 if you take away the City result, which I thought 3-0 probably flattered City a little bit. It was 0-0 at half time, a couple of late goals in that one. So they'd only conceded 1 at home prior to that match. It's still a pretty decent defensive record. So under 2.5 goals for me, just shy of evens, 19-20.
Well, interesting, isn't it, there that Tom's gone for under 2.5 goals, and throughout this video cast, all Simon and Tom have done has been at loggerheads. But I've got a feeling that Simon might fall into line slightly.
I know, you don't like it when we agree.
No, I don't.
But I am going to have to agree on this occasion, Paul. The betting is very close. Southampton 9-5, United 17-10 favourites. Personally, I'd have Southampton small favourites. I think their home record's good enough over the long term to justify it. United's away form's questionable this season. I was at the Emirates for the last away game. They played poorly despite winning 2-1, but not enough of a value difference to write home about. Just a personal opinion. But yeah, I would go a different way to Tom. Slightly more aggressive in my backing of a low scoring affair. Both teams not to score, 6-5 for me. A bet that would have landed in 6 of Southampton's 7 home league games this season. They're great at the back, not good going forward. So this bet makes perfect sense at 6-5. They still only shit 4 in 7 at home, despite losing 3-0 to City in the last game at home. Pella's not scored for 5 games in a row now, and as Tom was saying, they don't have goals anywhere else on the pitch. You look at their creative attacking midfield players around them, they're more creative players rather than goal scorers. So Pella needs to get back into form, or Southampton will start slipping down the table. They've only scored 1 in the last 3 league games. And on the other side, Louis van Gaal's getting a decent defence at the moment, actually. Only shipped 4 in the last 6, despite barely having any defenders. The last game against Stoke, Rojo and Smalling were the only recognised defenders that started. And he seems to be getting a good tune out of them, though, to be fair. Going forward, Di Maria's probably out with a hamstring injury. Rooney's doubtful, although should play. But both are positives for my bet. Both teams not to score at 6-5. Good value.
There's the quote of the year so far on the Premier League video cast. Getting a good tune out of Smalling. I'll leave you to work out your own conclusions on that. Let's go to the best bets then on this week's Premier League video cast. Let's go to Tom first of all. Where are you going, sir? TV or non-TV?
Yeah, non-TV this week. I went TV last week and had an absolute shocker. I had both teams to score, Sunderland Chelsea.
It happens to us all.
And it was 0-0, of course. So pay no attention to what I'm about to say now. But I quite like Liverpool to score in both halves against Sunderland.
Okay.
Yes, Liverpool are in amazing form so far this season, but they had won their last 2 matches against sides you'd say were probably the same level as Sunderland. Scored 3 at Leicester in the last game, looked a little bit better going forward. Sunderland are just woeful at the moment. I know they drew with Chelsea last weekend, really ruined my best bet there, but you can see you're 12 in 6 matches away from home, 4 in midweek, albeit against a strong Man City side, but still conceding 4 at home is not particularly good. So Liverpool just simply scoring both halves here at 11-8 would be my best bet.
Okay, and I'll take it you're going to oppose Tom and go TV.
I'm going TV, Paul, I'm sorry, but I just can't ignore the Newcastle to stun Chelsea at 7-1 at St James's Park.
Juicy.
Massive price. I did nap this result in this fixture last season, just over 5-1, so do have a bit of previous. Newcastle won the last 2 home games against Chelsea in the league. They won a good run, 5 wins in 7, key players back from suspension, good home win ratio over the long term. Chelsea not as good as people say they are, key suspension, possibly key injury at centre back. Great time to back Newcastle at 7-1.
And for those of you who think that Simon Hopper is going mad, well, he probably is, we don't know what he does inside his own 4 walls in his flat at home, but he has of course landed these major bets before, notably on the opening day of the season where Swansea went to Old Trafford and did the business at double-figure odds. That's the end of another video cast here on the Premier League here at easyodds.com. Have a profitable and enjoyable weekend, and we'll see you next week.